Ooh, yeah, oh.
I want to thank you, Lord, for all you done for me. Thank you, Jesus. I want to thank you, Lord, for all you done for me. All I want to do is thank you. All I want to do is thank you, Jesus. I want to thank you, Lord, for all you done for me. Thank you, Jesus. I want to thank you, Lord, for all you done for me. All I want to do is thank you.
Your love is
It's good to stand before you today before the ATL Georgia. It's good to be here. Reading for me today is my brother Tony today. And we're going to actually go ahead and start with the reading of the law as always, as customary at the Israel of God. So let's turn to Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 1. And if you have any cell phones, just make sure that they're on mute or they off like myself. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 1. And we're going to go ahead and read. We ain't going to hold them back no longer. Let's go.
God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which hath brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
That's right.
Out of the house of bondage.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
That's right.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
Keep going.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them.
That's right.
For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
Keep going.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain.
That's right.
For the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy maids, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
Keep going.
For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Excellent, excellent. Now let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Let's hear what the meaning of life is. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. We're going to hit two verses, verses 13 and 14. 13 and 14. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man.
Whole duty, go ahead.
For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
That's right. Now Revelation chapter 22, as always. We start at the beginning of the book. We read the wisest man other than Christ, confirm it. Now we're going to go to the last book and the last chapter of that book in the Bible and see what it says if it changed. Revelation 22, verses 14 and 15. Go ahead.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city.
That's right. Go ahead.
For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
Whosoever makes the lie and whosoever loves the lie that was made. Appreciate that. And this confirms even what Jesus said, because Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. So we see consistency all through this book, amen? All right. Well, it's good to stand here before you. My name is Brother Jared, for those who may not know. I'm hailing from the Israel of God, Washington, D.C. location. And coming back home, come here all the time, but it's good to be back. It's been a while. And I think this lesson is a timely lesson. It's called the dedication. The dedication. Because as we see certain world events transpire, we're getting a lot closer to seeing a temple being rebuilt over in Jerusalem, which will happen in our days. However, we need to go see what it was like when we had our own temples, our own tabernacles, and even the one that's going to be built when the Lord returns himself. So that way, when certain events transpire, you have seen the consistency of when the God of Israel had your temple, when he was in the midst and among you, how that worked, how that went. In fact, when it was finished, what you did to show your thanks that it was finished. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to start this in the Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, because I need to show before the tabernacle, before the temple, first or the second, or before the coming third one, what was at the root of this thing? So let's go to Exodus chapter 12. I have quite a few scriptures today, so I'm going to cut straight to the point. Because at the end of the day, if I show you more Bible, you have more armor to defend yourself against falsehood. The more understanding you have, I'm sorry, camera people, I move a little bit. It's hard for me to stay still. The more understanding you have of the Bible, the more people that ask you questions at the job, at the bus stop, on the metro, at the restaurant, you can give them answers. You are more well equipped. So now let's go to the source code of this. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. Go ahead and pick it up at verse 2. We're going to hit 2 and 3 and we're going to skip. When you get there, go ahead and read.
This month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
Now he's talking to the children of Israel. This month unto you is the beginning of months. This is the month Abib, which is in the spring, which is when the Lord brings the creation back to life, not in January 1st. Go ahead.
It shall be the first month of the year to you.
That's right. Go ahead.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel,
saying,
in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb.
Every man gets a lamb for his household. Go ahead.
According to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house.
That's right. Go ahead.
And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls.
But go ahead and jump down to verse 5 for the sake of time. Verse 5.
Your lamb shall be without blemish,
right?
A male of the first year.
Right, so it has to be without blemish. A male the first year, a male that's firstborn, a spotless male firstborn lamb. Go ahead.
You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats.
Go ahead.
And you shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
Shall kill it in the evening. Now, what are we going to do with the blood from this said lamb? Verse 7.
And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it.
Right, so you're going to put it on that blood goes on the door. So the original Passover, back when you were in Egypt, he didn't say you had to drink wine to go in a concert with that Passover. Because that happens when he comes in the flesh, where he's going to reinstitute that thing, and in Matthew 26 have you drink wine, which represents the blood, and then turn around and have you eat the bread, which represents his flesh. But right back here, you're putting the blood on the doorpost of the house, because he's showing you how to get protection from under the blood. But give me verse 13. Skip down to 13. Go ahead.
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are.
Right.
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
So now, before you had a tabernacle, before you left Egypt, this was all about blood and the protection from the Lord seeing that blood. But we know who the firstborn is. We know who's this referring to Christ, the lamb without blemish. We understand this. But before you had all of the other sacrifices, you had to understand that this was a token of your faith. So he didn't say, when I see the Egyptian, when I see the Hamite, when I see the child of Israel, it's the obedient. When I see that blood, that is what's going to provide protection. So we're seeing a physical thing so we can understand the spiritual thing a little bit later. Amen? Go ahead. Let's see in verse 13. Give me verse 17. Go ahead.
And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread.
Because that's the next day. Because you have the Passover, which was the 14th day of the month Abib at evening, but the 15th day is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the 15th or the day that you are delivered. You can't be delivered until you come under the blood first.
Right.
There's a protocol to this thing. Go ahead.
For in this self-same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
So what did we see here? We saw two groups. We saw Jesus, which is the bridegroom, and we saw the bride, which is Israel. Before you had a tabernacle, before you had a temple, before you had a church within a building with four walls and a roof. The congregation, which is spoken of here in verse 3, is the first time it appears in the entire Bible because the congregation is the children of Israel. That's who the bride is even unto this day. And if you don't believe it, go to Acts 13 in the New Testament and see when the congregation was broken up and who was there hearing the word of God, the children of Israel. But let's go a little bit further. Let's go down to Exodus 19. Exodus 19. Because before I get to the dedication of a building, we got to show the participants, right?
That's right.
We have to show the people that's going to help put it together, and we need to show who's going to benefit from it putting together or who's going to be present with you as it's done. So Exodus 19, let's see this position, because you are now captives when you're in Egypt. But when he starts delivering you and he brought you through the Red Sea, you are no longer captive. However, you are now a prisoner of Christ. And being a prisoner of Christ, that comes with certain stipulations. Because when I was out in the world, I wanted to do everything out there. Sign me up for this, sign me up for that. If it sounded wicked and evil, I was signing up for it. But now when you come on the Lord's team, you think I'm just going to sit in the back and not do nothing? No, I'm gonna put my hands to the plow and do some work. I'm going to do something to show that I'm serious about the decision that I made. Exodus 19 and verse 5, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant.
If you obey my voice, if you do this and keep my covenant. We understand that word if because if you break certain rules at your job, you get fired. If you do certain things within the marriage, you can turn around and cause the marriage to collapse. If you turn around and do certain things, you could bring, put yourself in a car accident or put yourself in a situation where it causes harm. As with anything, this is a big conditional statement. If you keep this condition, if you obey his voice indeed, go ahead.
Then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people.
Go ahead.
For all the earth is mine.
For all the earth is mine. Go ahead.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests.
You shall be a kingdom of priests. No matter where you are still part of that kingdom, even if you are somewhere in East Asia. If you are in South Africa, they say, oh, we know who they are. They're from Jerusalem. You know that kingdom that has all the priests there that gives us the answers, the oracles of God. He said, if you keep my commandments, if you keep my covenant, you will be in that position. Because in order to get understanding, you have to be able to be obedient. Because the book says, a good understanding have all they that keep his commandments. That's why people asking you questions about what you see on the news, what you think is going on. Because they don't keep the commandments, so that way they don't have the understanding.
That's right. That's right.
What verse you at?
I'm at verse 6.
Go ahead. Keep going, keep going.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
All right, give me verse 7.
And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him.
All right, so he did his job. He delivered the message, and it was laid before the elders. But now let's go to Exodus chapter 25. So now that you are going to be a kingdom of priests, let's see what is going to be required of them, because we understand that at some point it was specifically co-located or specifically tied to Levi, or the sons of Aaron. But let's see, now that you've been chosen for your position, just like when they hire you to work for Amazon or work for a Best Buy, wherever, don't they give you a uniform?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's see just the Levites specifically put on their uniform. Exodus 25 and verse 1. Exodus 25 and verse 1, because remember, the Levites were the priests within the priests. So when it transferred to Levi, that didn't mean that the rest of the children of Israel no longer had a priesthood. Yes, they did. However, they had people that were specifically only focused on the word of God and dispensing that and handling what God commanded, and they would help administer all the other tribes. That's why you had the 12 tribe land allotments, but you had a double portion given to the tribe of Joseph, one from Ephraim and one from Manasseh, because the Levites were sprinkled all throughout all the tribes of Israel. So Exodus 25, verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering.
That they bring me a what?
An offering.
So you have to bring an offering in that instance. Go ahead.
Of every man that giveth it willingly, with his heart ye shall take of my offering.
So that's that cheerful giver. That's that one that's saying, you know what, I want to volunteer this effort. Go ahead.
And this is the offering which ye shall take of them.
Right.
Gold and silver and brass and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair.
Right.
And ram skins dyed red and
right.
badger skin and shittim wood. Oil for the light, spices for anointing oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set in the ephod.
So all these things that they were making, this was happening while they were in the wilderness. But however, they had all these artifacts with them. So someone in the congregation said, well, I'm going to help out with the blue. Someone else said, well, I can help out with the ruby stones or this garment, or I can help out with gold or silver. This is people making individual contributions. Go ahead.
And in the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them.
And let them make me a sanctuary, that I might what?
Dwell among them.
I might dwell among them. This entire book is always about God coming here to dwell among the earth, but specifically among the children of Israel. The God of the entire creation wants to come and dwell with you. So who's trying to say, get ready for the rapture? To come up off this earth, to go fly off somewhere else. Someone is going against the word of God, because this is his desire, and you reading with your own eyes. Give me verse 9.
According to all that I show thee.
According, Moses, to everything that I show you. Go ahead.
After the pattern of the tabernacle. And the pattern of all the instruments thereof.
Right.
Even so shall you make it.
Right, so because the Lord gave him, let him start seeing what it's supposed to look like. According to that pattern. Do it just like this. But now go ahead, go to Exodus chapter 28. Exodus 28. So all these contributions are being made to this thing, because what I'm showing is, as always, God wants to see individuals contribute. Sometimes it's time and effort. Sometimes it could be specific elements that you have or specific abilities that you have. But this is what he's asking of them. Exodus 28, verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother,
right,
and his sons with him,
right,
from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office.
That he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Go ahead.
Even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty.
For glory and for beauty. But how is it going to come to pass? Give me verse 3.
And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom.
Hold up. So it wasn't just figure it out. He said there's already people among that I've already filled with the spirit of wisdom of how to pull this thing off. When you were in Egypt, you were busy doing all types of things for the Egyptians. You had all types of skills, but he's saying now use those skills for me, because you don't have to report to them no more. You're under new management. Go ahead.
That they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him. That he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Minister unto me in the priest's office.
Jump all the way to verse 43. All the way to verse 43. Because you didn't just get the temple or the sanctuary or the tabernacle right away. You had to get the instructions how to keep everything in order. Who's supposed to do what? Who's supposed to wear what? Who's supposed to contribute what? Where it's supposed to go? Everything has to be in order. Go ahead and give me verse 43.
And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons,
right,
when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation.
Right, so hold up. This is only supposed to be worn when they do what? Come in the tabernacle of the congregation. But you got people on the corner wearing all types of outfits, but we ain't got no stadium. So when's the last time you went out, you just walking down the street, you going to CVS, Safeway, whatever, Publix, whatever the store is, and you see a football player on the corner wearing a football outfit, and he ain't got no stadium, he ain't got no game to go to. Where they do that at, as they say. Go ahead.
Or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die.
Right, because they were supposed to wear that way they didn't bear iniquity and possibly die. Go ahead.
It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him.
Now let's go to Exodus 31. I'm just showing how the Lord was putting it together piece by piece by piece. You do this, you do that. I want someone to handle this over here. It's a big operation, but it's many individual members contributing. Because that's what the church is. It's a big body and a lot of individual members. And the Lord knows everyone's contribution. Because it doesn't say you have to make the biggest contribution. It just says you do the best of your own abilities. That's the same thing with tithes. I don't care if you put $5 million in the plate, but you got $5 billion in your pocket. That's why the Lord stopped and said to the disciples, come check at this. This woman had 2 mites and she put all her substance in there. Lord stopped everything to see those 2 pence because that was a percentage of her faith. She put it all on the line. God sees that. Man just sees the general numbers and amounts. Exodus 31, verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying,
Right?
See, I have called by name
Bezalel,
the son of Uriah, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah.
So he's like, look, let me help you out, Moses. You see, I even have Bezalel because some of these are going to be real intricate, so you're going to work with him. Go ahead.
And I have filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom and in understanding.
I filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom. Whatever your skill is, you are given that skill by God. Whatever your wisdom is, it has come by God. Go ahead.
And in understanding.
Right.
And in knowledge. And in all manner of workmanship.
And all manner of workmanship. These intricate works. Go ahead.
To devise cunning works, to work in gold and in silver.
Right.
And in brass. And in cutting of stones to set them. And in carving of timber to work in all manner of workmanship.
So I have this brother that has this wisdom in this area, but he's not going to be by himself. Go ahead.
And I, behold, I have given with him Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan.
Of the tribe of what?
Of Dan.
Also, the original tabernacle and the artifacts was built by not just Levites, but all the tribes of Israel was contributing. That's why you had the tribe of Dan here. But they don't have a tribe of Dan over in Israel right now, do they? They don't even have a tribe of Judah for those who understand it. Go ahead.
And in the hearts of all that are wise-hearted I have put wisdom, that they may make all that I have commanded
That
thee.
they may make all that. So now you have a team that handles this area and a team that handles that area. Just like they're present today, there was a team that handled the choir to do the singing. Because everybody else I can't sing myself. If I try to hit a note, y'all run out this building. But there's an associated team that can do that. I can clap my hands though. That's my contribution. But let's go to Numbers chapter 7. Number 7. Because now that you get the instructions, we're going to see some of the progress. Because you know how child has whatever toy or artifact or there's a piece of furniture you got to put together, and you try to put it together, you ain't look at the instructions, that thing don't come together right. Then you got to take it all apart, redo it, look at the instructions, turn it upside down, find all the pieces. Because it's a labor, it's an effort. But in this effort, because they're doing it according to what God says, they make progress. Number 7, verse 10, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And the princes offered for dedicating of the altar in the day that it was anointed.
So that altar that they were supposed to put together, that golden altar, it was coming together, and they did what? They dedicated the altar. In other words, I dedicate this to you, God, because you helped me create it. You gave me the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and the ability to pull this off. You gave me the gold to pull this off, the timber, the cedar wood, then the staves. I'm going to dedicate this to you because what we're going to dedicate upon the altar is to you anyways. Go ahead.
Even the princes offered their offering before the altar.
Even the princes are now offering on that altar. Go ahead, jump all the way down to verse 78. All the way down to verse 78, because we're hitting specific key details. Because I want to see how long the offering was. Verse 78, when you get there, go ahead and read.
On the 12th day, Ahira, the son of Enon, prince of the children of Naphtali, offered.
So the prince of Naphtali offered on what? On the 12th day, because the altar was being dedicated to God for 12 days. It wasn't just a one-day thing. Couple hours, no, 12 days that was dedicating this altar unto God. So now you have this. Jump all the way down to verse 84 now. Verse 84, when you get there, go ahead and read.
This was the dedication of the altar in the day when it was anointed by the princes of Israel. 12 chargers of silver, 12 silver bowls, 12 spoons of gold.
So that was the dedication of the altar, and they even anointed it as well. So it's walking down so that the increments of progress is being dedicated to God. But let's jump all the way to the end when it's finished. Let's go to Exodus chapter 40. Exodus chapter 40. Because there's nothing wrong with celebrating progress. Everything doesn't happen at an instant, but as long as you're moving in the right direction, praise God. Because people want to blink and everything be done. No. Sometimes, as they would say, don't just focus on the destination, remember the journey as well. Because don't y'all realize as the church grows in various locations, the journeys, the struggles, the ups and downs are making certain brothers and sisters stronger and sharper in the word. Some people getting a testimony. So when you do have a great house and large numbers, you have an experience to go with it. Mm-hmm. That's what he's showing. Exodus 40 and verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken.
Exodus 40 and verse 1? My apologies. 40. 40 verse 1. Because I can't go back to where they didn't even hear Moses come and tell them, yo, God's going to get ready to deliver you. They delivered over here on this side. Plagues is around, 7 through 9, something like that? So, yeah, we way past that now. Exodus 40 verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying,
What'd he say?
On the first day of the first month shalt thou set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation.
Okay, remember how he said this shall be the beginning of months unto you in Exodus chapter 12? So on the first day of the first month, I want you to do this, but this ain't January 1st. This is in the spring still. Go ahead.
And thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil.
That's right. So I want you to put the ark in it once you finish it. Give me verse 4.
And thou shalt bring in the table and set in order the things that are to be set in order upon it. And thou shalt bring it, and thou shalt bring in the candlestick and light the lamps thereof.
That's right. Jump all the way down to verse 20 and 21. Go ahead.
And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark.
Right.
And put the mercy seat upon the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle and set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses.
Right. Jump now to verse 31, because now they getting everything finished. Levi's getting cleaned up. It's almost move-in day. Because remember, he said, make me a sanctuary that I might dwell among them. They weren't just making something for them to just look at. Someone's getting ready to move in. He just wants his house built a particular way. Go ahead.
And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat.
Right.
And when they went into the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar, they washed.
Right.
As the Lord commanded Moses.
Yep, keep going.
And he reared up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar.
So you had the tabernacle, but he had a separate court that covered the entire tabernacle all the way around, 4 sides. Go ahead.
And set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moses finished the work.
And they hung a curtain over that, and he finished the work. Mission complete. Even though you're not in the land. Mission complete. Go ahead and give me verse 34 now. Let's see what happens immediately when you do what God said to do. Hit it.
Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation.
That's right.
And the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle.
So now that cloud appeared. It covered the tabernacle, but the inside of it was beaming with light. That's that glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Go ahead.
And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation.
Right.
Because the cloud abode therein.
Right.
And the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle.
So it was so bright. Moses, the Levite, they couldn't go in there. It was too bright. It was emanating too much light. It was too much going on for them to even be able to go in there, because the God of Israel just showed up there to his own tabernacle. Go ahead and give me verse 36, though. Go ahead, because we're going to start showing also how the Lord moved with that cloud. Go ahead.
And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys.
So just like a vehicle, you have a gas pedal, you got some brakes. So when it's time for the children of Israel to move or push the gas, the cloud's going to come off from the tabernacle. Go ahead.
But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up.
So when it's time to apply the brakes and we're not moving and migrating, we're going to have the cloud stay on the tabernacle. That means pump your brakes, get settled, get comfortable. It's not time to go yet. This is how they was moving in the wilderness. They was going back and forth by the cloud that was leaving them. That's why we know that cloud, as it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, that rock was Christ. So he was leading us back there because he's our captain, or the captain of our salvation. The one that led us to put blood over the doorpost, the one that led us through the Red Sea, and the one that gave you commandments from Mount Sinai in Exodus chapter 20 with the thunders and the lightnings. That's him right here. Go ahead. Give me verse 38.
For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day.
That's right.
And fire was on it by night.
So you had a cloud on it in the daytime, and the nighttime you had a night light. Go ahead.
In the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys.
Throughout all their journeys. But let's go now to Numbers chapter 9. Numbers chapter 9, because it explains this in a couple different areas. Numbers chapter 9. That's how the Lord was leading and guiding you. They didn't know, because see, when they were in the wilderness for 40 years, they were still being guided directly by that cloud, or who was in the cloud. Numbers 9 and verse 15. Numbers 9 and 15. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And on the day that the tabernacle was reared up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, namely the tent of the testimony.
Sometimes it's called the tent of the testimony. Go ahead.
And at even there was upon the tabernacle, as it were, the appearance of fire until the morning. So it was always. The cloud covered it by day, and the appearance of fire by night. And when the cloud was taken up from the tabernacle, then after that the children of Israel journeyed. And in the place where the cloud abode, there the children of Israel pitched their tents.
Y'all see how it was just confirming what you saw in Exodus chapter 40? Go ahead.
At the commandment of the Lord, the children of Israel journeyed.
Right.
And at the commandment of the Lord, they pitched. As long as the cloud abode upon the tabernacle, they rested in their tents.
Keep going.
And when the cloud tarried long upon the tabernacle many days, then the children of Israel kept the charge of the Lord and journeyed not.
So it was just showing the same thing, because when it was time for them to move, there were specific families of the tribe of Aaron, or the tribe of Levi, or the sons of Aaron, shall I say, I was right the first time. The sons of Levi, certain family groups that had to break down. Some people had to handle the hangings. Some people had to handle this over there. Some people had to handle the pillars in the tent, of the tent. And some had to handle the actual gold vestments that were in the tabernacle. So all these things were split up when it was time to move. But for the sake of time, let's go now to Numbers chapter 10, because remember, Moses is the one that's the intercessor between the children of Israel and God. So while all this is happening, what's Moses doing? What was your intercessor at that day doing? Numbers chapter 10, verse 34. Numbers 10 and verse 34. Let's see what he was doing in this day. Numbers 10 and 34. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And the cloud of the Lord was upon them day by day when they went out of the camp.
So, by day, the cloud was there. Go ahead.
And it came to pass when the ark set forward that Moses said, rise up.
The ark set forward. In other words, we got everything ready to go. Everything's packed up in the car. We get ready to leave. What did Moses say?
Rise up, Lord.
Right.
And let thine enemies be scattered.
Rise up, Lord, and let the enemies of the Lord be scattered, because we on the move now. Go ahead.
And let them that hate thee flee before thee.
And let those that hate thee flee before you. Go ahead.
And when it rested.
And when we got to the destination and we stopped and we set up camp here, what did Moses say to God?
He said, return, O Lord, unto many thousands of Israel.
He said, return, O Lord, unto the many thousands, because there was no number, because we were without number, because there was so many. Return, Lord, unto the many thousands of Israel, and God would listen to the intercessor, because this was the protocol here. That's why when we understand the next intercessor would come, which would be Jesus Christ himself, we know that we can't speak to the Father unless it goes through his name or through the door, which is Jesus, who is that intercessor, because he's showing us that there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new. So now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 23. Because we need to remember what it was like to live with God. No other nation can say that. That they're a nation, their nationality, that their people ever lived with God. Had the answers of God. Well, if we had a question, we would bring it to the right people, and Moses would go directly to God and get a direct answer. That's why the oracles of God is still with Israel, because you are the one that's supposed to show forth his praise, as it says in Isaiah 43. You are my witnesses that I am God. That's why other people can't try to act like that they represent Jehovah, because they at the same time try to say that Jesus ain't God, because they don't know Jehovah or who he is or when he came in the flesh. Mm-hmm. Understand the power that the Lord has given you through his word. Deuteronomy 23, verse 12. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whether thou shalt go forth abroad.
Right? So this is the house rules of how you live in the wilderness with God. You're going to have a place abroad. This is the restroom. Go ahead.
And thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon.
Right.
And it shall be, when thou wilt ease thyself abroad,
right,
thou shalt dig therewith, and shalt turn back and cover that which cometh from
So
thee.
you had a rest area in that instance, but go ahead.
For the Lord thy God walketh in the midst of thy camp.
He's doing what?
Walketh in the midst of thy camp.
He's walking all around the houses of the tribes of Israel. I'm walking around checking y'all out. Go ahead.
To deliver thee and to give up thine enemies before thee. Therefore shall thy camp be holy.
Right.
That he see not that he see no unclean thing in thee.
Right.
And turn away from thee.
So he's trying to bring something physical to let you see something spiritual. That I'm walking around checking y'all out from house to house. I'm checking y'all out. And I'm letting y'all know now that I don't want to see no uncleanness among you. We not just talking physical. I don't want to see any adultery. I don't want to see any stealing and lying. I don't want to see any bearing false witness. I don't want to see anything unclean among you, because that's why I will turn away from among you. Not just something physical. I made the man, and I made his flesh, and I made him have a digestive tract. That's not what I'm talking about. Your behavior will make me not want to stay in your neighborhood. That's what he's saying here. Let's go to Exodus 33. Let's see what eventually happened if they kept themselves clean while the Lord God was walking among us. We had a neighbor unlike any. Exodus 33, and let's see if we caused the Lord to move to the suburbs. Mm-hmm. That's what they say, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then when they go to the suburbs, they got that HOA to have certain rules about you got to do this and do that in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Exodus 33 and verse 1. Because what people don't realize is how did that whole HOA thing get started? It was started to try to keep us out the neighborhood in the first place. Because they said they don't know how to live like us. Now they got to charge you a whole bunch of money a month. Exodus 33 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto Moses,
what'd he say?
Depart, and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt.
In other words, Moses, hey, you go ahead and start taking them and lead them in. I'm going to give you some help, but I want you to go handle this business. Go ahead.
Unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying,
that's right.
saying unto thy seed will I give it.
I'm going to give it to your seed. Go ahead.
And I will send an angel before thee, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite.
Because I'm going to send an angel before you, and I'm going to drive out all these nations, but never forget that last nation he called out, and the Jebusites. Who are the Jebusites? These are Hamites that was living in Jerusalem, because the original name of Jerusalem was called Jabus. In other words, when you see that word Jebusite, you think Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Unto a land flowing with milk and honey. For I will not go up in the midst of thee.
Right.
For thou art a stiff-necked people. Lest I consume thee in the way.
So I need to get away from y'all, or else I'm going to bust you to the white meat, he's saying. I'm going to break out. Don't we say that sometimes? Look, I got to get up
right.
out of here because if they keep on cutting up, whoo. Lord, see these same characteristics. So he said, that's what I'm going to have to do in order to protect y'all. Give me verse 5 now.
For the Lord has said unto Moses, say unto the children of Israel, ye are a stiff-necked people. I will come up into the midst of thee in a moment and consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee.
That I may know what to do unto you. Keep going.
And the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments
Right.
by the Mount Horeb. And Moses took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp, afar off from the camp.
Hold up. He took the tabernacle and took it away from the camp of Israel. He had to now move it, and it's going to get a different name because he did this. Go ahead. Keep going.
And called it the tabernacle of the congregation.
Now it's called the tabernacle of the congregation. Of means from. Salvation is of the Jews. Salvation is of the children of Israel, or the Jews. Jesus of Nazareth didn't mean he was born there, but that's where he resided. So that was the Jesus that came from Nazareth. So now it's called the tabernacle of the congregation. Who was the congregation still? Israel. But because the congregation started getting polluted, and God isn't polluted, he had to relocate it away. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that everyone which sought the Lord went out unto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp.
So that's how you have to find God now. I got to get away from everybody and individually pursue God. That's how you have to do it at that time. Go ahead, keep going.
And it came to pass when Moses went out unto the tabernacle that all the people rose up and stood every man at his tent door,
right,
and looked after Moses until he was gone into the tabernacle.
So everyone at his tent door watching Moses as Moses makes his way to the tent door out from the congregation. Go ahead.
And it came to pass as Moses entered into the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended.
So soon as Moses steps foot in there, boom, the cloudy pillar descends on the tabernacle, because it was Moses that was the intercessor speaking directly to God, face to face, as a man speaking with his friend. Go ahead.
And stood at the door of the tabernacle, and the Lord talked with Moses.
And the Lord talked with Moses. That's what we had up. Go ahead, give me verse 10.
And all the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose up and worshiped, every man in his tent door.
Because everybody wasn't going in the tabernacle. They was worshiping from afar. So that's what you had here at that time when the Lord had to move this thing. But what we're seeing that the church moves. The church was first, before you had the entire congregation, you had Abraham, who was operating by his faith. Then through his seed, through Isaac, through Jacob, and then the 12 tribes, you had them residing in Egypt. And then he started referring to them as the congregation in Egypt, but that church moves through the Red Sea, through the wilderness, but it didn't stop there. Let's go now to Joshua chapter 4. Joshua chapter 4 and verse 1. Joshua chapter 4 and verse 1, because what we're seeing carefully is that this thing follows you. Why you think that the Old Testament was written in Hebrew? Because at that time a lot of them spoke Hebrew. But then also a lot of them started going through the Grecian captivity, and they spoke Greek and Latin a little bit later. So guess what the other half of your book came in? It came in Greek and Latin. Then about the time in the 1600s when you were on the slave ships going across the transatlantic slave trade, guess what was coming along with you in the English tongue? This book, because it's following you. That's why I don't deal with the NIV, I deal with the King James Bible. Because the way of saying James in the original tongue is Jacob. The original name is Jacob. This is actually the King Jacob Bible for those with understanding. You thought it was a joke when they used to put what they call Jim Crow laws on us. Jim is another way of saying James. James is another way of saying Jacob. He's still talking about you. Joshua 4 and verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And it came to pass when all the people were clean passed over Jordan.
Clean passed over Jordan. So now you have to go through another body of water and have it split. Go ahead.
That the Lord spake unto Joshua, saying, Take you 12 men out of the people,
12 men. Go ahead.
Out of every tribe a man, and command ye them, saying, take you hence out of the midst of Jordan, out of the place where the priest's feet stood firm, 12 stones.
Right.
And ye shall carry them over with you.
So when you come over, remember you came in the land with 12 tribes. And to signify you had 12 stones to remind you all 12 tribes came home. Not just one tribe called Judah came. No, we're talking about all came home when it was time for all of them to go in that land at that time. Go ahead.
And leave them in the lodging place,
right,
where ye shall lodge this night.
Leave them wherever you go lodge this night. Go ahead, give me that's the end of verse 3, right? That's good.
Yeah, we just finished.
Perfect. Let's go now to 1 Chronicles 21, because we know they were established in Israel. They grew. They became a mighty nation. They were, they had times where they were going through the judges, because they would depart from God. God would turn around and send affliction. Then he sent a deliverer or a judge that would bring them back in the right condition. But it went through that as a cycle many times in the book of Judges. But eventually, they had their final judge, which was Samuel. Because Samuel is the one who anointed Saul to be the first king of Israel from the tribe of Benjamin. But then you had David, who came after, because David was the son-in-law of King Saul. Then shortly thereafter, you had David. But what did David do? He made a big mistake and tried to count the children of Israel. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why Joab was like, you sure you want me to do this? David tried to force him anyways, but Joab gave him a wrong number, because what sin did David commit? He tried to make God a liar. What do you mean by that, Brother Jared? God told Abraham that your seed will be as the stars of heaven for multitude. Your seed shall be as the sand of the sea, if thou can number them. And if you can't number them, then that shows that the children of Israel is too vast to number. So why even try? But he made a big mistake. So he ended up getting the plagues put upon Israel, which really came from they misbehaving as well. But 1 Chronicles 21 and verse 18, because now I'm showing what's going to happen in the days of David. We're slowly progressing through the book. 1 Chronicles 21, 18. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Then the angel of the Lord commanded Gad to say to David that David should go up and set up an altar unto the Lord in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And David went up at the saying of Gad, which he spake in the name of the Lord.
Right.
And Ornan turned back and saw the angel, and his 4 sons with him hid themselves.
Right.
Now Ornan was threshing wheat.
So this Ornan, the what? The Jebusite. This is, like I said, Jerusalem. And he's threshing wheat there. Go ahead.
And as David came to Ornan, Ornan looked and saw David, and went out of the threshing floor and bowed himself to David with his face to the ground.
He's scared. Go ahead.
Then David said to Ornan, grant me the place of this threshing floor, that I may build an altar therein unto the Lord.
Because now, this is X marks the spot where I need to build an altar to God. Go ahead.
Thou shalt grant it me for the full price.
For the what?
For the full price.
Go ahead.
That the plague may be stayed from the people.
Because I'm trying to get the plague off the children of Israel. So give me the thing for full price. Go ahead, 23.
And Ornan said unto David, take it to thee, and let my lord the king do that which is good in his eyes. Lo, I give thee the oxen also for burnt offerings, and the threshing instruments for wood, and the wheat for the meat offering. I give it all.
So he's trying to say, look, David, just take it, just take it. But David was a righteous man. He knew not to take something that didn't cost him nothing and offer that unto God. What happened in Genesis chapter 4 when you saw Cain just say, well, I'm just grabbing some fruit off the ground here. I'm going to give God this. It didn't cost me nothing. But you saw Abel offer him the best. No, he's not going to offer him something that he didn't take a hit on, or that he didn't have skin in the game. Go ahead.
And King David said unto Ornan, Nay.
Nay. No, I'm not offering that unto God, because that's not acceptable. Go ahead.
But I will verily buy it for the full price.
I'm paying full price, no discounts, because this is dedicated to God, and only God gets the best. Go ahead.
For I will not take that which is thine for the Lord, nor offer burnt offerings without cause.
Right. I'm not going to offer burnt offerings without cost. It's got to cost me something. I need to show God that I'm real about this. And how do I know? Because of what I'm willing to sacrifice in order to get it. Go ahead.
So David gave to Ornan for the place 600 shekels of gold by weight. And David built there an altar unto the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And called upon the Lord. And he answered him from heaven by fire upon the altar of burnt offerings.
So it was accepted. David's mentality and David's execution, and God sent fire from heaven, said, I accept that. Message. Go ahead.
And the Lord commanded the angel.
Now, because he accepted, now he will command the angels, because all the angels are subject unto him, even the wicked ones. Now he's going to tell the angel, you better back up, for I flex on you. Go ahead.
And he put up his sword again into the sheath thereof.
Now he putting his sword up. Yes, sir, boss. Because you better remember, your guy's the one that can rebuke the devourer, as the book say. Same thing, he getting by on you. When you petition unto the Lord, remember, he is the rock. The righteous run into the name of the Lord and are safe. He is a strong tower. So when you go to him, he will tell them back up off you. He's the one that's even going to destroy death. So it's good to get on his good side, even if you have to put a little bit of what they call sweat equity into it. Let's get to verse 27.
Yeah.
Give me 29.
For the tabernacle of the Lord, which Moses made in the wilderness, and the altar of the burnt offering, were at that season in the high place at Gibeon.
It was at Gibeon. So that same tabernacle we read about this morning, it wasn't in Jerusalem. It was at Gibeon. They also had a high place at Shiloh, because remember, he said, I'm going to give you all this and the Jebusites. So we still need to get to X marks the spot, which is actually what's called Mount Moriah, which is the same place that Abraham was about to offer up Isaac. X marks the spot. Let's go now to 2 Samuel chapter 7. 2 Samuel chapter 7. Like I said, this is a little bit of a heavier lesson because we have a lot of intricate details, because people that's acting like that they know what they talk about in this book, that's messing all types of things up, but you are the ones that know your own history when you crack open this book. The Lord instructs his people by storytelling. So we have to tell these stories, and all the details have to fall in place. So that way when someone does something different, you can say, no, that's not how the story goes. Look, let me show you. Boom. That's what the book says. The Lord has taught my fingers how to fight. We ain't got to keep that law. Romans 3:31, we established the law. Well, you know, now that we can eat shrimp, crab, lobster. No. Well, we saw the vision in Acts chapter 10. When Peter saw the vision. Verse 28, God has shown me I should not call any man common or unclean. What you got next? Because who are you fighting now? Satan. And a lot of your loved ones and relatives are still being caught on by that doctrine, but you now pushing back by the Spirit of God. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house.
So King David in the crib. Go ahead.
And the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies.
Go ahead.
That the king said unto Nathan the prophet.
Right.
See now, I dwell in an house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth within curtains.
So I'm over here on MTV Cribs, got my nice house, got all this stuff in it. He look out the window. Something don't feel right. It's over here in a curtain, and I'm only flesh. But that's the God of spirits. Go ahead.
And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in thine heart, for the Lord is with thee.
That's where he's getting a little presumptuous. Those assumptions is coming out, but give me verse 4.
And it came to pass that night.
That night. Soon as you start thinking about doing something right for God, let's see what starts happening. Go ahead.
That the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying.
What did God say? Go ahead.
Go and tell my servant David.
Right.
Thus saith the Lord. Shalt thou build me an house for me to dwell in?
You going to build me a house to dwell in? Go ahead.
Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt.
Right.
Even to this day.
That's right.
But have walked in a tent and in the tabernacle.
I've been complacent and just chilling in a tent in the tabernacle. Go ahead.
And in all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel.
Because he was walking with you. He ain't say nothing about this. Go ahead.
Whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build ye not me an house of cedar?
Why you ain't get me a nice cedar crib? He ain't asked that to none of your ancestors. But he's not saying that David has a bad idea. He's just saying, what's putting this on your mind to do this for me? What's on your mind? Go ahead.
Now therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David.
So tell David this. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel.
Right. I'm the one that took you from being a shepherd and made you a king. I'm the one doing for you. You're not doing for me. However, go ahead.
And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight.
I'm the one that cut off all your enemies out of thy sight. I'm the one that's with you when Saul was trying to chase you and take you out, even though you had been anointed to be king. I was with you at that time when you cut off his garment. Go ahead.
And have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth.
That's right. Go ahead.
Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel.
Moreover, I will what?
I will plan a place for my people Israel.
So he going to appoint a place. I'm going to pick a spot for my people Israel. Go ahead.
And will plant them.
And will plant them. Go ahead.
That they may dwell in a place of their own and move no more.
Well, hold up. If that's the case, we know this couldn't be talking about this specific time because you have all 12 tribes home. The nation was never split in two at this point because that happened in the days of Solomon after Solomon turned around and started offering to those strange gods. Then the nation was split between northern and southern kingdom. So what is he talking about? Go ahead.
Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them anymore.
Right.
As before time.
As before time. Go ahead.
And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies.
Right.
Also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee an house.
So I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to make you a house. I'm the real house builder. That's why Jesus said, in my Father's house there are many mansions. If it was not so, I would not say unto you. We're not talking about 4 walls and a roof now. We're talking about what was given to the 2 midwives that was in Egypt when it says that they didn't fear of Pharaoh, so they didn't kill the children that was in Israel, and it said God made them houses. No, we're talking about a spiritual body here. No, I got something for you, all right, on the good side. Go ahead.
And when thy days be fulfilled, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers.
You shall die when all your days of living is fulfilled. Go ahead.
I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels.
Right.
And I will establish his kingdom.
But now we see a kingdom being established here. Go ahead. I want to hear a little bit of the details about this kingdom that's to be established. Verse 13.
He shall build an house for my name.
He's going to build a house for my name. Go ahead.
And I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
And God can't lie, so the throne of his kingdom must be established forever. Go ahead.
I will be his father,
right?
And he shall be my son.
So now I will be his father, and he shall be my son. Go ahead.
If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men.
That's how you know we're not talking about Solomon here. This is way beyond Solomon. Because when Solomon turned around and offered to those false gods,
that's right,
you didn't see him sprain his ankle once. You didn't see him pop a pimple. He didn't do nothing was hurt on him. But in this regard, this stripes right here speaking of Jesus Christ himself, because it says, by his stripes we are healed. Why am I pointing things like this out? Because if someone says that they're a Christian, they need to be able to go in the Old Testament and prove to me that's very Christ. Because when the disciples were going to the synagogue on the Sabbath day, they were converting Jews. If you don't know the Old Testament, how can you convert someone that says that they are a Jew or someone that says they believe in the Old Testament unless you know the details of it? But they're telling you to stay in the new book. But they don't even know where that starts. So I'm showing how these details must be read with distinction, because it's not about just finding your identity as a child of Jacob. It's about finding the identity of your Christ, your Lord, and your Savior. Because nobody is getting salvation from the blood of Jacob. Jacob didn't die for nobody. That just shows you who you are. But the blood of Jesus will give salvation. That's why my faith trumps my nationality. But people don't understand this yet. What verse you at?
Verse 15.
Give me 15.
But my mercy shall not depart away from him.
Right.
As I took it from
Saul.
As
I took it from Saul. Go ahead.
Whom I put away before thee.
Give me verse 16.
And thine house and thine kingdom shall be established forever before thee.
Before thee. In other words, in your presence. Go ahead.
Thy throne shall be established forever.
And your throne shall be established forever. How can it be established forever if he's going to fulfill his days and die? That's letting you know the Lord is going to resurrect him as well and let his throne continue forever. Do y'all see this? Let's go now to 1 Chronicles 28, because I want to show how, David interpreted a couple things. 1 Chronicles 28. And we're going to pick this up at verse 2. 1 Chronicles 28, because we're seeing now a discussion. That discussion went from talking about a tabernacle outside to talking about an everlasting throne set up forever. In other words, focus on him. He's the centerpiece of the story. He's the plot of the entire story. That's why when you saw all those judges that was turning around and that was freeing Israel, pay attention to them judges. You might see somebody. You know how they had the Philistines afflicting the children of Israel? You had Samson giving his life up between the two pillars. Pay attention to what you read. Maybe you can see with spiritual eyes who was pointing to. But we're not going to get too deep in that. Let's go now to 1 Chronicles 28, verse 2. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Then David the king stood up upon his feet and said, Hear me, my brethren and my people. As for me, I had in mine heart to build an house of rest for the ark of the covenant of the Lord.
Go ahead.
And for the footstool of our God, and had made ready for the building.
And for the footstool, what do you mean the footstool? Where his feet will reside. That's why it says the heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool, because he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth.
Yes.
Zechariah shows when his feet hit the earth, it splits them out in 4 different ways on Mount Olives. He's coming back. Thy kingdom come, right. Thy will be done in earth as it what? Is in heaven. What do you mean? Lord, the same way you bust Satan's head in heaven, come down and give us the sequel on earth, because this is where he had caused confusion here. Go ahead.
But God said unto me, Thou shalt not build an house for my name.
That's right.
Because thou hast been a man of war and hast shed blood.
No, David. He said, don't do it, because you have been a man of war and you have shed too much blood. Present-day vernacular, he didn't call too much bodies, killed too many men. He killed so many men that in order to get a wife, he had to present Saul, his father-in-law, to be 4 skins of the Philistines of dead men. That was his dowry at that time. You didn't kill too many people, Saul, or David, in this instance. But let's go now. What verse you at?
We're at verse 3.
Okay, go ahead, give me verse 5. Give me verse 5.
And all of my sons, for the Lord has given me many sons. He has chosen Solomon, my son.
Did you ever see him say Solomon in chapter 7, which we just came from? No, we didn't. This is that assumption. That's that presumptuous spirit. He chose Solomon. Go ahead.
He has chosen Solomon, my son, to sit upon the throne of the kingdom of the Lord over Israel. And he said unto me, Solomon thy son shall build my house and my courts.
That's right.
For I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father.
Right, but you didn't see where he was ever called the son. Go ahead, give me verse 7.
Moreover will I establish his kingdom forever, if he be constant to do my commandments and my judgments as at this day.
Right, but we don't see his kingdom anywhere on earth, because that is not the son that he was speaking about. Why do we need to point out these things? Because a temple or a tabernacle was not dedicated to Solomon. We see where Solomon just assisted in building something dedicated to the one whose right it is. So let's go now to 1 Chronicles 29 and verse 1. So because David, you can't build it, but he didn't say, okay, well, I'm going to throw my hands up, I ain't going to do nothing. No, what did David do? He said, okay, if I can't build it, I can get the materials for it, though. I can make some type of contribution to show how willing I was in spirit. 1 Chronicles 29, verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Furthermore, David the king said unto all the congregation,
What'd he say?
Solomon my son, whom alone God has chosen, is yet young and tender, and the work is great. For the palace is not for man, but for the Lord God.
It's for who?
The Lord God.
It's for the Lord God. if they understood that who's supposed to reside in that, then there's actually a throne room in the real one, but we're going to go there a little bit later. Go ahead.
Now I have prepared with all my might for the house of my God.
I prepared halfway.
All my might.
All my might. I put in effort behind this. Go ahead.
For the house of my God, the gold for the things to be made of gold.
Gold for all the golden instruments. Go ahead.
And the silver for the things of silver.
Uh-huh.
And the brass for things of brass.
That's right.
The iron for things of iron.
Go ahead.
And wood for things of wood.
Keep going.
Onyx stones and stones to be set. Glistering stones, and of diverse colors, and all manner of precious stones,
right?
And marble stones in abundance.
Keep going.
Moreover, because I have set my affection to the house of my God, I have of mine own proper good.
I'd even poured out some stuff from my own account, my own proper good. Go ahead.
Of gold and silver, which I have given to the house of my God over and above all that I have prepared for the holy house.
That's right. Keep going.
Even 3,000 talents of gold.
3,000 talents of gold. Go ahead.
Of the gold of Ophir.
Right.
And 7,000 talents of refined silver to lay over the walls of the house withal.
Uh-huh.
The gold for things of gold, and the silver for things of silver, and for all manner of work to be made by the hands of artificers.
Uh-huh.
And who then is willing to consecrate his service this day unto the Lord.
So he's like, I done got all this prepped and ready. I got all these building materials. I can't put the house together, but I can get the materials. I can get the wood, I get the copper, I get the PVC piping, I get the floors, I can get the tile that goes in the shower. I can get all this, but who among the children of Israel is willing to consecrate their service or their abilities to the building of this? That's the question he's asking the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Then the chief of the fathers of the princes of the tribes of Israel and the captains of thousands and of hundreds with the rulers of the king's work offered willingly.
They offered themselves willingly. Now give me verse 9. Go ahead, because now that you have willing people and the materials and the proper instructions, verse 9.
Then the people rejoiced for that they offered willingly.
Right.
Because with perfect heart they offered willingly to the Lord.
Right.
And David the king also rejoiced with great joy.
So they did that with a what? A perfect heart. A perfect heart. There's one thing to do what God says. It's one thing to do it with the right spirit. And as time goes on, you start noticing the Satan be trying to try your spirit to get you off your game, to get you, out the right mental space when you are just trying to do the things that God wants you to do. But you start getting tougher as time goes on. You start letting that dirt run off your shoulder because you understand that's the Satan trying to get me off the ball, trying to get me distracted or unfocused. So that is what you start seeing in this book, that they start doing these things with a perfect heart. That's what the God be watching and seeing how you be doing these things. But let's go now to 2 Chronicles 5. 2 Chronicles 5. Because some other details are going to start opening up in this book. 2 Chronicles chapter 5. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. 2 Chronicles 5, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Thus all the work that Solomon made for the house of the Lord was finished.
It was finished. Go ahead.
And Solomon brought in all the things that David his father had dedicated.
Uh-huh.
And the silver and the gold and all the instruments put he among the treasures of the house of God.
Because everything needs to be dedicated to God. Go ahead.
Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chief of the fathers of the children of Israel, unto Jerusalem to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the city of David, which is Zion.
Uh-huh. Keep going.
Wherefore all the men of Israel assembled themselves unto the king in the feast, which was in the 7th month.
Hold on. What feast is in the 7th month? Feast of Tabernacles. Yes. Go ahead.
And all the elders of Israel came, and the Levites took up the ark.
And the Levites took up the ark now. But jump down to verse 6. Go ahead.
Also King Solomon and all the congregation of Israel that were assembled unto him before the ark sacrificed sheep and oxen, which could not be told nor numbered for multitude.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
And the priests brought in the ark of the covenant of the Lord unto his place, to the oracle of the house.
The oracle of the house. Go ahead.
Into the most holy place, even under the wings of the cherubim.
So you had the holy place, and then you had the most holy place, sometimes called the Holy of Holies, and that ark would go in there, and it would be underneath the 2 cherubims that was inside the holy place. This is not just talking about the cherubims that was on top of the ark or on top of the mercy seat. So beneath where those wings touch, that's where they put the ark. But jump down to verse 11. Go ahead.
And it came to pass when the priests would come out of the holy place, for all the priests that were present were sanctified and did not then wait by course.
Go ahead.
Also the Levites, which were the singers, all of them of Asaph and Heman and Jeduthun, with their sons and their brethren, being arrayed in white linen,
right,
having cymbals and psalteries and harps, stood at the east end of the altar, and with them 120 priests sounding with trumpets.
Right.
It came even to pass as the trumpeters and singers were as one, to make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking the Lord. And when they lifted up their voice with trumpets and cymbals and instruments of music, and praised the Lord, saying, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever.
So they were praising God. They had all the instruments. They had everyone in order, and they're saying, praise ye the Lord, because it says, for he is good, for his mercy endure forever. And what happened after that? Go ahead.
That then the house was filled with a cloud.
The house that Solomon built was what?
Filled
with the cloud. Go ahead.
Even the house of the Lord.
So it should sound familiar as what we saw with the tabernacle. Go ahead, give me verse 14 as well.
So that the priest could not stand to minister by reason of the cloud.
Right.
For the glory of the Lord has filled the house.
As always, you see him moving in. But go directly to 2 Chronicles 6 and pick it up at verse 1, because I want to start showing both this dedication, the prayer that's made, and the response to the prayer, because these are some very intricate details. Go ahead.
Then said Solomon, the Lord has said that he would dwell in the thick darkness.
That's right.
But I have built an house of habitation for thee, and a place for thy dwelling forever.
A place for his dwelling forever. Go ahead.
And the king turned his face and blessed the whole congregation of Israel.
So after praying to the Lord, he turned towards the congregation of Israel and blessed them. Go ahead.
And all the congregation of Israel stood.
Right.
And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, who has with his hands fulfilled that which he spake with his mouth to my father David, saying.
Now we're not going to the details of that right now. Jump down to verse 12. Verse 12, go ahead.
And he stood before the altar of the Lord in the presence of all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hands.
And spread forth his hands. But give me verse 17. Go ahead.
Now then, O Lord God of Israel, let thy word be verified.
Let your word be verified. Go ahead.
Which thou hast spoken unto thy servant David. But will God in very deed dwell with men on the earth?
That's the question. Will God in very deed dwell with men on the earth? Go ahead.
Behold, heaven and the earth of heavens cannot contain thee.
So
how much less?
It says heaven and the heaven of heavens. Because remember, it's 3 heavens. And the heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. So if he's not going to stay in the 3rd heaven, where is he going to come? He's coming to the earth. Yes. Go ahead.
How much less this house which I have built?
How much less this house that even I have built? So we know he's coming here, but give me verse 19. Go ahead.
Have respect, therefore, to the prayer of thy servant, and to his supplication.
Right.
O Lord my God, to hearken unto the cry and the prayer which thy servant prayeth before thee.
So listen to my prayer, Lord. Verse 20. Go ahead.
That thine eyes may be open upon this house day and night, upon the place whereof thou hast said that thou wouldest put thy name there.
Go ahead.
To hearken unto the prayer which thy servant prayed toward this place.
So listen, O Lord, to the prayer that's made towards this place. Go ahead.
Hearken therefore unto the supplication of thy servant and of thy people Israel.
Right.
Which they shall make toward this place.
Right.
Hear thou from thy dwelling place, even from heaven. And when thou hearest, forgive.
So this is the same reason why we, to this very day, face Jerusalem. We're in the Western nations, that's why we face east. If we were in the South like Africa, we would face north. If we were over in the Far East China, we would face west. So we aren't facing the sun, we're facing the location where the Son of God will come. Let's go now to verse 26.
When the heaven is shut up,
right,
And there is no rain.
Right.
Because they have sinned against thee.
Right.
Yet if they pray toward this place and confess thy name.
Right.
And turn from their sin when thou dost afflict them.
So if they bethink themselves and start coming together and start realizing that they have sinned and start repenting and praying toward this place, go ahead.
Then hear thou from heaven and forgive the sin of thy servants.
Forgive their sins, go ahead.
And of thy people Israel. When thou hast taught them the good way.
Go ahead.
Wherein they should walk.
Right.
And send rain upon the land which thou hast given unto thy people for an inheritance.
Right. So bless them, Lord, he's saying. But jump down to verse 36. Because he's showing that these are prayers of repentance, acknowledging their ways, turn towards God, and listen to what God has to say, and finally humbling themselves in order to be blessed by God. Go ahead and pick it up at verse 36. Go ahead.
If they sin against thee, for there is no man which sinneth not.
Right.
And thou be angry with them, and deliver them over before their enemies, and they carry them away captives unto a land far off or near.
Far or near. We are the ones that's been taken far. Go ahead.
Yet if they bethink themselves in the land, whither they be carried captives, and turn and pray unto thee in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have done amiss, and have dealt wickedly.
Admissions of guilt, 38.
If they return to thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land after their captivity, whether they have carried them captives, and pray toward their land.
And pray towards which land?
Their land.
Their land. I don't care who's in it, it's still yours. I don't care what's happening on the news, it's still yours. So while everyone's focused on what's happening over there, he's saying, will you pray towards where I will be? Is your attention focused on everything else, or will you acknowledge that this is the land that I will give you at the appointed time if you obey his word and keep his commandments? Pray towards their land, go ahead.
Which thou givest unto their father.
Right.
And toward the city which thou hast chosen.
Right.
And toward the house which I have built for thy name.
That's right. Give me verse 40. Go ahead.
Now, my God, let I beseech thee, thine eyes be open, and let thine ears be attent unto the prayer that is made in this place.
That's right. Because what is this prayer? This is a prayer of dedication. We are dedicating the temple of Solomon to God. Hear my prayer, Lord, about this place. 41.
Now therefore arise, O Lord God, into thy resting place.
Right.
Thou and the ark of thy strength.
Right.
Let thy priests, O Lord God, be clothed with salvation, and let thy saints rejoice in goodness.
Right. That's why you saw where he went in there. But let's go directly into 2 Chronicles 7 and pick it up at verse 1. Because it wasn't just a prayer made in vain. Let's see that God heard the prayer, and let's see God's response, even when the whole crowd has gone home. 2 Chronicles 7, verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Now when Solomon had made an end of praying,
what happened?
The fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices.
So now you see the fire coming from heaven again, consuming, letting you know that I accept that prayer. Go ahead.
And the glory of the Lord filled the house.
The glory of the Lord filled the house. Go ahead.
And the priest could not enter into the house of the Lord because the glory of the Lord had filled the Lord's house.
Exactly. Keep going.
And when all the congregation of Israel saw how the fire came down and the glory of the Lord upon the house, they bowed themselves with their faces to the ground upon the pavement, and worshiped and praised the Lord, saying, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever.
Go ahead.
Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before the Lord.
Give me verse 5.
And King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated the house of God.
So the king and all the people did what? That was what you just witnessed, a dedication. They dedicated the house of God to God. God accepted it and received it at their hands and even sent fire from heaven. But jump down to verse 9, because I want to start showing a little bit of details in this. Give me verse 9 for the sake of time. Hit it.
And in the 8th day, they made a solemn assembly.
And in the 8th day, they did what?
Made a solemn assembly.
Because we know that feast of the 7th month is Tabernacles, but he tells you that there's 7 days, and then they had a solemn assembly on the 8th day. Go ahead.
For they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days.
How many days?
7 days.
They kept the dedication of the altar 8 days.
7 days.
9 days.
7.
Just making sure we can count. 7 days. Go ahead.
And the feast 7 days.
And the feast, how long?
7 days.
Okay, just want to make sure. Go ahead now and pick it up at verse 12. Go ahead.
And the
Because now everyone gone home. They had a good time. They had the music. They had the cymbals and everyone singing songs and praise. And they had a whole lot of food because they couldn't even number the amount of the burnt offerings that was offered unto God that he consumed by fire. But after everyone gone home and everyone tucked in their bed at night, because your God don't sleep. Let's see what he going to be doing while y'all sleep. Snoring, getting that good sleep in your bed. Go ahead and jump down to
verse 12.
Verse 12, yep.
And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night.
By night, go ahead.
And said unto him, I have heard thy prayer.
Right.
And have chosen this place to myself for an house of sacrifice.
Go ahead.
If I shut up heaven that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves.
That's what's required. If they would just humble themselves. If my people, which are called by my name, that's the name Israel, shall humble themselves. Go ahead.
And pray.
Right.
And seek my face.
And seek my face. What does that mean to seek his face? My wife likes watching this show called The Voice. And they be singing their heart out, but all the judges be having their back turned to the one that's singing. They try and they try until someone says, I like what I'm hearing, and they hit that button, they turn the chair around, don't they? That's what he's saying, because right now God ain't really listening to a sinner, so that's why when you keep his law and his commandments, that's you seeking his face, and he can turn and focus on you. Let me see what you're talking about now. That's what this is. If they would humble themselves and pray towards this place and seek my face, go ahead.
And turn from their wicked ways.
What's going to happen then?
Then will I hear from heaven.
Then will I hear from heaven, go ahead.
And will forgive their sin.
Uh-huh.
And will heal their land.
Right, that's why people who say, well, that word of God, it's not real, it doesn't do nothing. How many people have been praying all this time? That's like saying a remote control to your TV don't work, but you put the batteries in backwards. If you do what the instructions say, negative in, positive in, positive in, negative in, oh, it works, yes. So it's not that the book doesn't have any power. Do you have the power to just obey? I don't care how many churches there are, but he didn't tell us to keep Sunday as a day of worship. He never told us December 25th was the day of his birth. Because if his name is the Ancient of Days, then how can I put a start date on an immortal being when I'm the one with the start date?
That's right.
That's why he didn't give us that, because he's trying to let us know that he existed before this. That's why John the Baptist said, he's before me because he was before me. But if John the Baptist is born 6 months before Christ, then what was John saying? He pre-existed because he was God. This is simple.
That's right.
Very simple. Oh, it don't work. No, start doing the commandments to see what happened. But let's go now. Let's see in the verse 14.
Yeah, we're on 15 now.
Go ahead, give me 15. Yep. Give me 15 and 16.
Now mine eyes shall be open, and mine ears attent unto the prayer that is made in this place.
So, nothing but time, space, and opportunity. My eyes is open. I'm going to see what you're doing. And my ears are open. I'm willing to listen to see what you're talking about. Go ahead.
For now have I chosen and sanctified this house.
Because now I have both chosen and sanctified this house. Go ahead.
That my name may be there forever.
Right.
And mine eyes and mine ear and my heart shall be there perpetually.
It shall be there perpetually without stop. But let's see if the children of Israel stayed obedient. Let's go to 2 Kings 22. Because everything was all good when there's food everywhere. It's music. Because, we can't have the food without the music. Let's see if they stayed consistent, or let's see if they veered off. 2 Kings 22. 2 Kings 22 and verse 1. Because we know that there were several kings that happened after Solomon. Then you had the nation split, as I stated earlier, between Jeroboam and Rehoboam, northern and southern kingdoms. And they went on different tracks in the wrong direction. You had some good kings in Judah, but in the northern kingdom, it was rough. 2 Kings 22, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 31 years in Jerusalem.
Right, because Josiah was a king over the southern kingdom of Judah. So he was a good king. He's trying to get the people back on track. Go ahead.
And his mother's name was Jediah, the daughter of Adiah, of Bosketh.
Go ahead and jump down to verse 4 for the sake of time. Go ahead.
Go up to Hilkiah, the high priest,
right,
that he may sum the silver which is brought into the house of the Lord.
In other words, sum the silver. Count the amount of silver that people brought into the house of the Lord, because the people were still giving willingly in that time. Go ahead.
Which the keepers of the door have gathered of the people.
Gathered of the people. Go ahead.
And let them deliver it into the hand of the doers of the work, that have the oversight of the house of the Lord.
Right.
And let them give it to the doers of the work which is in the house of the Lord, to repair the breaches of the house.
Right. As always, you can have something in place, but it may need to be touched up. It may need to be fixed. It may need to be put back together. Go ahead.
Unto the carpenters and builders and masons.
Right.
And to buy timber and hewn stone to repair the house.
Right. Sometimes you have to do some renovations. Just like it had to be done here. Nothing new under the sun. Go ahead.
Howbeit, there was no reckoning made with them of the money that was delivered into their hand, because they dealt faithfully.
Go ahead, verse 8.
And Hilkiah the high priest said unto Shaphan the scribe.
What did he say unto Shaphan the scribe?
I have found the book of the Lord in the house of the Lord.
Guess what I found? You won't believe what I found while we doing this renovation. I found the book of the law. They like, you kidding? Yeah, right. I ain't seen that in ages. They lost the book of the law. And now that they're trying to do the work of God, all of a sudden, look what I found. It was way back there. Go ahead.
And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan.
Right.
And he read it.
And he read it. So now they got the book. They start to read it. They try to see what's in it. Go ahead.
And Shaphan the scribe came to the king and brought the king word again and said, Thy servants have gathered the money that was found in the house, and have delivered it into the hand of them that do the work.
That's right.
That have the oversight of the house of the Lord.
Go ahead.
And Shaphan the scribe showed the king, saying, Hilkiah the priest has delivered me a book.
Right.
And Shaphan read it before the king.
So they started to read the book of the law before the king, King Josiah. Go ahead. Let's see Josiah's response. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when the king had heard the words of the book of the law, that he rent his clothes.
That he did what?
He rent his clothes.
So he didn't make a bunch of excuses. Well, you know, that's that old law. The first thing he said, oh man, we are undone. We in trouble. That was a sign of mourning at that time. The Lord be watching your response, and based upon his response, Lord said, I'm not even going to bring that calamity on him at that day, based upon how you responded when you actually heard what I had to say about the matter. So when that started happening, we're seeing in general the children of Israel were on the decline, but they were still trying to get some things in order at certain times. But eventually Nebuchadnezzar came and took that temple down, and they went into captivity. The northern kingdom was already in captivity by that time by Sennacherib. But let's go to Haggai. Let's go to Haggai, because just because they were in captivity didn't mean that was the end of the story. Let's see what the Lord starts doing with the children of Israel while they're in captivity. See if he starts getting their attention. See if he starts having them get back to the work from the beginning. Haggai, chapter 1, verse 1. We're going to hit verse 1. We're going to skip. When you get there, go ahead and read.
In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying.
All right, now jump down to verse 6, because he's trying to get the people's attention. You wonder why things may not be going as smooth? Remember who you are and what I need you to do. Verse 6.
Ye have sown much,
right,
and bring in little.
Right.
Ye eat, but ye have not enough.
Right.
Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink.
Go ahead.
Ye clothe you, but there is none warm.
Go ahead.
And he has earneth wages.
And he that earns wages, or he that has a job, go ahead.
Earneth wages to put it into a bag filled with holes.
But you have a whole lot of bills and interest and all this other additional stuff. That's what's called a bag of holes. He's saying, consider this now. Give me verse 7. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build a house.
So go up to the mountain, chop down some trees, not to put in your living room, but use this to build the house of the Lord. Go ahead.
And I will take pleasure in it.
And I will take pleasure in that. Go ahead.
And I will be glorified, saith the Lord.
And I will be glorified, saith the Lord. Jump down to verse 12.
Then Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Joshua, the son of Josedek,
right,
the high priest, with all the remnant of the people, obeyed the voice of the Lord their God and the words of Haggai the prophet, as the Lord their God has sent him. And the people did fear before the Lord.
That's right. Give me verse 14. Go ahead.
And the Lord stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel.
So you see what starts happening? The Lord starts stirring up the spirit of certain men to start taking care of the business. And as they get stirred up, they end up getting other people stirred up. In other words, everyone gets back on the job. Just like when you're trying to start that car up and you're waiting for it to turn over, it's starting to turn over because the Lord's stirring up the spirit. Go ahead.
Governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest.
So in the spirit of Joshua, with the spirit of Zerubbabel, go ahead.
And the spirit of all the remnant of the people, and they came and did work.
They came and did what?
Did work.
Work, go ahead.
In the house of the Lord of hosts, their God.
In the house of the Lord their God. The Lord's getting their attention. So let's see about how many go back home. Let's go to Ezra chapter 2. Because there's no first temple here. There's no first tabernacle here. It's gone. So who are the people that's in captivity of your ancestors said, no, this ain't sitting right. We got to go ahead and do something about this thing. So now we go into Ezra chapter 2 and verse 1. Because remember, this is being built so God can dwell among us. Ezra chapter 2, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Now these are the children of the province, province that went up out of the captivity.
They went up from the captivity, go ahead.
Of those which had been carried away, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away unto Babylon.
Right.
And came again unto Jerusalem and Judah, everyone unto his day.
Unto his city.
Unto his city.
Yep, go ahead. Go. Now, it's a bunch of names here. He's going to name a whole bunch in verse 2, but for the sake of time, we're going to skip. We're going to skip all the way to verse 64. Verse 64. You was getting ready for it. I saw you. You was concentrating real hard. I saw that.
Oh, man.
He was getting ready because there's some names in here, but it's all good. The fact that you got your mind right, we're gonna put it over here. Verse 64. Who came back home from that group? 64.
The whole congregation together.
The whole congregation. Oh, they still call it the congregation still? Mm-hmm. The church. Go ahead.
Was 42,303 scores.
So 42,360 Israelites said, we're going to go back home to help you. So it started with those two brothers that the Lord was stirring up. Then they had 42,000 over that in order to go back home. But let's jump down to verse 69. Verse 69, because I want to show where their mindset was at. 69 and 70, when you get there, go ahead and read.
They gave after their ability unto the treasure of the
work.
Hold on,
they gave after their what?
Their ability.
Because everyone has different abilities. Mm-hmm. So they gave after their ability, go ahead.
Unto the treasure of the work. 1,000 drams of gold. And 5,000 pounds of silver. 5,000 pounds of silver, go ahead. And 100 priests' garments. And 100 garments for the priests. So you had some sisters that was sewing the things together, bringing it together, making it just after the workmanship. It's the congregation that's doing this collectively. Go ahead. So the priests and the Levites and some of the people and the singers.
Hold on, they had singers back there? Mm-hmm. They had people that could blow back there?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
And the porters and the Nethinims.
Well, you know the porters, them swole brothers at the door. They had them too. Go ahead.
And the Nethinims dwelt in their cities, and all Israel in their cities.
And they coming back home. But let's go to Nehemiah 4. Because just because you made the mindset, you know what, I'm going to go do the right thing. I'm going to put all my effort in, does not mean that you're not going to get no blowback. It doesn't mean you're not going to have no obstacles. Just because you put on your shoulder pads and your helmet and your mouth guard don't mean there's a whole other team ready to compete against you. It's about overcoming and going all the way to the end. So Nehemiah 4, as they go back, as they bring 5,000 drams of silver and all this other stuff, let's see what else is waiting on them. Nehemiah 4, verse 8, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And conspired all of them together to come and to fight against Jerusalem.
So all these people coming to conspire against them? In fact, I should have had you read verse 1. Go ahead and hit verse 1. My apologies. Go ahead.
But it came to pass that when Sanballat heard that we builded the wall,
That they coming back building. Y'all building a wall. Go ahead.
he was wroth.
Right.
Took great indignation and mocked the Jews.
He taking great indignation and mocking the Jews. Now go ahead and give me verse 8. Because they start with mocking you. Oh, what, you think you an Israelite? That's where it starts. But when you start being diligent and working, we can't, mocking them just won't work. I can't just shame them and question them, who you think you are. That won't work because they busy working. That's why we come home from the job, we say, man, it was a long day, worked me like a Hebrew slave. Because when you work and apply it unto God, people start now worried about you. Verse 8, now let's see what they doing. Hit it.
And conspired all of them together to come and to fight against Jerusalem.
They had to come together and conspire. How do we get these people to stop? They too productive. They efficient. They orderly. We can't distract them with the lust of the flesh. They focus on the Spirit of God. We got to do something else. Go ahead.
And to hinder it.
And because we need to get them to stop, we need to hinder them. But go ahead, keep going.
Nevertheless, we made our prayer unto our God.
That's right. Go
and
ahead.
set a watch against them day and night because of them.
So we prayed and we had watchmen watching our building. We didn't just pray and say, all right, that's it. No, we made sure that we put stuff in place to protect it as well. Go ahead.
And Judah said,
right.
The strength of the bears of burdens is decayed, and there is much rubbish, so that we are not able to build the wall. And our adversary said, they shall not know, neither see till we come in the midst among them and slay them.
So now this is what we need to do. We need to sneak out among them while they're building, and we need to try to just kill them while they're in the midst of building. Go ahead.
And cause the work to cease.
Because the whole point is to get them to stop doing work. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that when the Jews which dwelt by them came.
Actually, jump down to verse 13 for the sake of time. 13.
Therefore said I, in the lower places behind the wall and on the high places, I even set the people after their families with their swords, their spears, and their bows.
Swords, spears, and bows. And give me verse 17. Because while you're doing work, that don't mean you don't have to watch your back. Verse 17, because, see, we understand that that's talking about physically at that time, but at the same time today, we know Satan goes around as a roaring lion seeking who he may devour. We understand that. But give me verse 17. Go ahead.
They which builded on the wall, and they that bear burdens with those that laded, everyone of his hands wrought in the work.
Doing the work. Go ahead.
And with the other hand held a weapon.
So while you got a brick, you over here putting mortar on the brick, what do you have? You still got the weapon nearby too. They had that sword girded up on them at that time. Go ahead.
For the builders, everyone had his sword girded by his side. And also, and so builded.
Right.
And he that sounded the trumpet was by me.
So the people that was sounding the trumpet was to sound the alarm that someone's coming among you to try to stop you from doing the work and to slay you. So you had to look out at the same time while you were building the house of God, because like I said, once you make the decision to, now this is a whole separate group of people that's now focused on you that weren't before. They weren't focused on you when you was busy focused on paganism. They weren't focused on you when you was eating all the shrimp, lobster, crab, shellfish, scallops. But when you said, nah, I don't need the pork. What you Muslim? No, I'm not Muslim. Beef ribs is big. I like that. That's me personally. But God told us what to eat and what not to eat. Now all of a sudden, well, so you was raised on this. Now you don't want to eat it no more? What else is it about you? Oh, hold on. You're not going with us to shopping mall on Saturdays no more? Now all of a sudden, they real curious about you. Real curious. Where you getting this from? Who's your rabbi? But that's what's happening. They focused on you. But now, because they even would hire people to try to stop the work. But let's go back now to Ezra chapter 3. Let's go to Ezra chapter 3. Like I said, I had to get in some of these particular details so when we just say first temple, second temple, tabernacle, you know a little bit more of the story that surrounded how it came together and the ups and downs of what they went through as they were doing the work of God. But God was still with them. Ezra chapter 3 and verse 1. Because while they're going through this affliction, there's still some celebrating of the progress and the milestones that they're accomplishing. Ezra 3, verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And when the 7th month was come, and the children of Israel were in the cities, the people gathered themselves together as one man to Jerusalem.
That's the end of verse 1. Go ahead and jump down to verse 3. They came together as one man. Go ahead.
And they set the altar upon his basis, for fear was upon them because of the people of those countries.
Right. People were scared because of them. Go ahead.
And they offered burnt offerings thereon unto the Lord, even burnt offerings morning and evening.
Morning and evening. Give me verse 6. Verse 6.
From the first day of the 7th month began they to offer burnt offerings unto the Lord. But the foundation of the temple of the Lord was not yet laid.
It wasn't laid yet. Give me verse 7.
They gave money also unto the masons and to the carpenters, and meat and drink and oil unto them of Zidon, and to them of Tyre to bring cedar trees of Lebanon to the sea of Joppa, according to the grant that they had of Cyrus, king of Persia.
Because they had a grant from that king. So they're progressing here. But give me verse 10. Go ahead.
And when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, they set the priests in their apparel with trumpets, and the Levites, the son of Asaph, with cymbals, to praise the Lord after the ordinance of David, king of Israel.
So now that they have laid the foundation, you can't build a house without a foundation. They're now setting things in order to thank God for the progress. So just the same way you see someone that says, hey, I'm getting a house built, what do? They usually go out to the lot site, they be taking pictures, put it on Facebook. Then they come back 2-3 weeks later, up the cement pour, they back on Facebook or Instagram. Same thing here. They're celebrating progress. But now they also have the symbols and everything, so it's full on. That's the end of verse 10.
Yeah.
Keep going all the way through 12. Go ahead.
And they sang together by course and praising and giving thanks unto the Lord.
Giving thanks, God. Go ahead.
Because he is good.
Right.
For his mercy endures forever toward Israel.
Toward Israel, go ahead.
And all the people shouted with a great shout when they praised the Lord, because of the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid.
Because the foundation was laid. Give me 12 as well.
But many of the priests and Levites and chief of the fathers, who were ancient men.
Who were what?
Ancient men.
So some of the old heads that saw what they was building, they was like, this doesn't look nothing like the days of Solomon when we had saw the original. So that's how they responded. Verse 12, one more time from the top.
But many of the priests and Levites and chief of the fathers, who were ancient men that had seen the first house, when the foundation of this house was laid before their eyes, wept with a loud voice. And many shouted aloud for joy.
So some people was happy, some people weren't happy. Verse 13 just lets you know that, hey, they couldn't tell who was doing what, but they're weeping because they're like, this is not as magnificent as Solomon's temple. But that did not mean that God wasn't with them just because it wasn't as magnificent. Because remember, the focus is not solely the temple. The focus is the God of Israel that's going to dwell between the cherubims in the holy place. Do y'all see that? So now, that's them doing, actually, let's go to Ezra 6. Ezra 6, because what we're going to see is, we're going to see them rededicated to God. Ezra 6, verse 14. Ezra 6, verse 14. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And the elders of the Jews builded, and they prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo.
Right.
And they builded and finished it according to the commandment of the God of Israel and according to the commandment of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia.
Right, because there was a time when they were stopped, but it eventually was finished. Give me 15.
And this house was finished on the 3rd day of the month Adar.
Right.
Which was in the 6th year of the reign of Darius the king.
So this is now your second temple. You had the tabernacle, and it's gone. You had the first temple, Solomon's, and it's gone. And now you have the second, it's finished. Give me the next verse.
And the children of Israel, the priests and the Levites, and the rest of the children of the captivity kept the dedication of this house of God with joy.
They kept the dedication of this house of God with joy, because what are you now witnessing? A dedication. The first dedication, when they dedicated the tabernacle, the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. We saw that. The first temple that Solomon built, when he made that long prayer, the glory of the Lord filled the temple. But this one, the glory of the Lord did not fill the second temple. Why? Because this is the temple that's going to be around, where he's not going to be on the inside. He's going to be on the outside, walking amongst the people, the prophet like unto Moses. I'm about to show up among you on the outside. That's why you don't see the glory filling it. Give me that next verse, 17.
And offered at the dedication of this house of God 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for a sin offering for Israel, 12 he-goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel.
According to the number of tribes of Israel. So this is what's being put on the table now in regards to this second temple. It is no longer the previous ones. It's not as great, but you're still going on the right path. But now let's go to Matthew 24. We're going to jump to Matthew 24, because we're going to start showing some things. This is where, now, remember, that temple that we just saw being dedicated was a temple of Ezra and Nehemiah. It is not the temple of Herod. Herod was an Edomite. He tried to make some renovations on it to try to say I contributed to it as well, but this is before the Edomites was converted. When they were converted in the 1st and 2nd century BC, that's when later on King Herod was at that time trying to put his embellishments on it. But before he did that, that's when what do they call that feast or that day? They call it Hanukkah, or the Festival of Lights. Don't y'all know that is a rededication? It is not the original dedication. It's when they felt it was dirty and they tried to rededicate it to God. It's a repeat. It's a remix. It's a rededication. You just read the original dedication. That's why I mean, keep those days and those civil holidays, because they're remixes off the original. So you see this and you understand. So why don't you celebrate Hanukkah? Because God didn't give me to celebrate in Leviticus 23. Where you get 9 branches of menorah anyways? Tell me that. Read that to me. But let's go now to Matthew 24 and verse 1. Because this is the temple that was around when Jesus was here. Matthew 24, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple.
We're going to show you the buildings of the temple. Go ahead.
And Jesus said unto them, See not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
So the same way he took down the first 2, this third one's being taken down as well. But when I say the first 2, meaning tabernacle and the first temple. But this is the second temple, but it's still the third building that God would inhabit. Go ahead.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
So when shall these things be? And he started walking down some things pertaining to the end of the world. But in other places, which we could walk down separately, we're going to show what's happening in regards to how that temple is going to be taken down. Not back up, but go forward to Luke 19. Go Luke 19 and verse 41. Luke 19 and verse 41. How was this one going to be taken down? When you get there, pick it up at verse 41. And this should sound familiar, because as you watch the news today, what do they say? There's a siege upon Gaza. You know what a siege is? That's when you surround them and you don't allow any food, gas, energy, Anything allowed in or out, you cut them off from civilization. It's a familiar tactic because they did it on our ancestors first in 70 AD. Luke 19, verse 41, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it, saying, if thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace.
If you only knew what was appointed to your peace, go ahead.
But now they are hid from thine eyes.
Right.
For the day shall come upon thee, that thine enemy shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee round, and keep thee in on every side.
They're going to compass you round about and keep you in on every side. So now you won't have access to the outside markets, the outside world, to get water and all types of stuff that you need to survive. Go ahead.
And shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. Because
you didn't know the time of your visitation. But that happened in 70 AD, which is recorded history, which is connected to Daniel chapter 9, which is prophecy, which is just another clue that all the prophecies are not over when Christ died. There's more prophecies to be fulfilled. But let's go now to Hebrews 8. So if there's no, Brother Jared, if there's no tabernacle, and we don't have Solomon's temple, and we don't have the temple of Ezra and Nehemiah, then where is Christ? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 8. The one that kept on inhabiting those buildings, those structures, where is he now? Hebrews chapter 8, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Now of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum.
This is the summation of it. Go ahead.
We have such an high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of majesty.
So now we have a high priest where? Sit on the right hand of the throne of majesty, on the right hand of the Father. Now that's where our high priest is. That's why when Paul, he was spreading the word, and then he said something slick to a high priest that was wearing regular clothes, and he got hit in his mouth. He said, God shall smite thee, thou whited wall. His other brother said, revilest thou God's high priest? He said, I wish not that he's the high priest. Because the law says you should not speak evil of the ruler of your people. In other words, he was still playing like he was the high priest, but when that veil of the temple ripped, that position was taken. It is no longer under the house of Levi. That's why when the children of Israel had that ark, what did you have inside the ark? You had the 10 Commandments, then you had the bowl of manna, which is reiterating the Sabbath day. I'm going to give you bread 6 days. I'm going to give you twice as much bread on 6th day, so that way you keep that up until the 7th day. Then you had Aaron's rod that budded. You had an actual rod that was cut off, and it would be used to put down the rebellion between the tribes. Who is the one that's ruling? Who is the one that has the authority? Who has the priesthood? And they would use the budding rod to prove who actually rules. That's why Jesus' name in prophecy was called the branch. If I cut a branch off a tree, it's going to die, right? But what if I cut a branch off a tree and it shows signs of life? That's who rules. That's why I didn't call it Aaron's rod that budded. It's trying to let you know that's pointing to the resurrection of Jesus inside the Ark of the Covenant. If y'all understand to see these things. How's it going to bloom and blossom and give forth almonds when it was cut off? That's why during the tabernacles, when he said, build you booths for 7 days, he didn't say make a tent, because they had tents in those days. But if I cut some palm trees and I put it on top, what's it going to do? It's going to wither up and die, because you are in a temporary existence. All this is pointing to that same thing, using physical things to teach you spiritual things. Do y'all see this? Give me verse 2.
A minister of the sanctuary.
A servant of the sanctuary he is. Go ahead.
And of the true tabernacle.
Of the what?
The true tabernacle.
The true tabernacle. All these temples that we were speaking of, those were the models. Those was the examples. But he's right now in the true tabernacle. Go ahead.
Which the Lord pitched and not man.
Which the Lord pitched and not man. Let's go to Hebrews 9 real quick. We're going to go to Hebrews 9, and I want 24 and 25. Hebrews 9 and 24 and 25, because what does that mean he is? That's why when people try to say, well, that Old Testament's fulfilled when Jesus died, they have no idea that in Leviticus 23 it speaks about the sheaf of the first fruits. And they're supposed to take a sheaf of that first fruits and offer that to God, but you know what they do in Israel today? They just wave it in the air. That's not what he said to do. It said in Exodus that you take the sheaf of the first fruits, or the first of the first fruits, into the house of God to be offered. Because Jesus was a living sacrifice offered unto the Father. So now let's see where he had to go. Hebrews 9:24, when you get there, go ahead and read.
For Christ has not entered into the holy places made with hands.
That's why he is the most holy. He was without sin, and you never saw him go inside the temple into the Holy of Holies. Go ahead.
Which are the fingers of the true.
Figures of the true, go ahead.
But into heaven itself.
But he's now in heaven itself, go ahead.
Now to appear in the presence of God for us.
Now to appear in the presence of God for us, go ahead.
Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest entered into the holy place every year with blood of others.
What do you mean, often? Because when you had Levites, they had to go in there often, every year, every day of atonement, sprinkle blood all on the curtain, blood everywhere. Then they had to go behind the curtain, just the high priest, and sprinkle it seven times before the Ark of the Covenant, and one time on top of the mercy seat. Year after year after year after year. But he's now done this thing one time, because that was the reenactment we were doing when we were doing this, but he did the real thing. Now, did you finish out verse 25?
Yeah.
Right, because that was also with the what? The blood of others. They showed up with other people's blood. Animal blood, red heifer blood, all this other stuff. They was doing it with other people's blood versus the real priest that did it with his own blood. Because as they say, if you want to do something right, you got to do it yourself, right? That's what he's doing here. That's where he is right now, appearing for us. But now let's go to 2 Corinthians 11. Meanwhile, we didn't have tabernacles and temples like today, but what do we have? We still have churches. Paul was going all through the Mediterranean world, especially in Europe, and building and establishing churches from scratch. 2 Corinthians 11, and verse 8. 2 Corinthians 11 and verse 8. Let's see what he was doing to bring about these churches. When you get there, go ahead and read.
I robbed other churches.
What?
I robbed other churches.
What do you mean he robbed other churches? He's not saying stick them up. Give me your money. I went into this church and I stole money. I brought it back. No, he ain't talking about that. Everyone was making tithes and contributions. So sometimes he would have to take the tithes that came from Galatia or from Thessalonica, and I would bring it to help, some of it to help a situation in Corinth. Let me help y'all get established over here. Or I would take it from Corinth, and I would help those in Ephesus and help them get established. That's what he's saying, I robbed other churches. In other words, I used resources that other people contribute to help over here, and then over there, and then over there. That's why the Israel of God is growing by leaps and bounds in all these buildings, because everything's going to the work of the church. Wherever a new group of your relatives may be popping up, coming into the Word. That's how he's doing this thing. So your tithes is helping the people that's just waking up. Still got crust in their eye. They coming along. Sometimes they wake up on the wrong side of the bed. They over here yelling at people on the street corner. Then we help them calm down. Down, boy, down. Did I see in the verse 8?
No.
Finish it out.
Taking wages of them.
Taking wages of them, go ahead.
To do you service.
To do you service. This was all to do you service. But now, let's go forward to Isaiah 16. Because what I'm showing what that was present day. Present day, we're in churches that's being established and built. Present day. But now we can go into what's next. Because we have some nice locations where people can come together and build, but this is a pit stop because we're not staying in captivity. Isaiah 16. Let's see the Lord now start stirring this other thing up. Isaiah 16 and verse 1. That's why it said in those last days they shall prophesy. That doesn't mean I'm a prophet. That doesn't mean this brother's a prophet. The prophet is Isaiah. But we are prophesying by explaining and expounding on what the prophet actually wrote. What I'm doing is what Nehemiah said, one would give the sense according to the law. Someone will read out the book with a distinction, and another person would give the sense. So we read and we expound. We read and we expound. That's why if his book is closed, I have no reason to stay in here. Because y'all didn't come here for my words. Y'all came to see God's words. We're just holding hands as we read together. Let's all go to this chapter. Let's all go read here. Let's all go read there. And collectively, the congregation, like a rising tide, lifts all boats. We all are learning together. That's why question and answer is such a powerful thing, because one person question way over here may answer a question that someone way over here didn't even know that they had yet. That's why the Sabbath day is such a big deal and come together and have a holy convocation. Why? Because I may hear the 2-hour lesson, but I may have a side conversation with another sister. Someone may be conversing, and they now have faith because they're going through affliction that you don't know about, but now their faith has been built by your testimony because you came and gave a testimony for Christ in the house of God. He made sure y'all met up and had that conversation. Y'all exchanged numbers. If you need help, you need to go pray through something, you let me know. This is iron sharpening iron. That's why I don't feel comfortable staying home on the first day of the week, because that may be someone's first day showing up. And I just want to say, Lord, let me pour into them from something from the word that may help get Satan up off their back. Because sometimes when they come in the house of God, sometimes they don't come by themselves. Sometimes someone shows up with them that's trying to tell them, you don't need to listen to them. See, I told you they just a bunch of legalists and yada, yada, it's a cult. So you need to go show something in the book and cause that other person to leave. We've had that happen. 2 people showed up, but one person was riding that person's ear, trying to get them up out of there. But that was Satan really trying to operate through him. Isaiah, you're talking too much as usual. Isaiah 16, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah to the wilderness.
Send the lamb from Selah, short for Jerusalem, to the wilderness. Go ahead.
Unto the mount of the daughter of Zion. For it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Ornan.
So, children of Israel are going to be like wandering birds when it's time to head to the wilderness. So go ahead.
Take counsel.
Take counsel. Go ahead.
Execute judgment.
Right.
Make thy shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday.
So in the middle of the noonday, hide my people. Go ahead.
Hide the outcast.
Right.
Bewray not him that wandereth.
Bewray not him that wandereth. Go ahead, because the Lord told you when it's time to do the wandering. In other words, when to start headed towards the wilderness, when you see that other temple built, that's not on the same spot that you've been reading about the first tabernacle was, where the first temple was, and where the second one, the other one is not going to be there, because that's the court of the Gentiles. But when it's time to go, when you see that man from Italy moving over there, go ahead.
Let mine outcast dwell with thee.
Right.
Moab.
Right.
Be thou a covert to them from the face of the spoiler.
That's right.
For the executioner is at an end.
The extortioner is at an end. Go ahead.
The extortioner is at an end. The spoiler ceaseth.
Right.
The oppressors are consumed out of the land.
Right. Now, that's the end of verse 4, right? Perfect. That's all I want. Because I need to show where he's telling the land, hey, be a covert unto them. They come, and here they come. Let's go now to Revelation 12 to see them go. Let's see when it's time to go from all these locations back to the land. Now, when you, to the wilderness specifically. Now, when you go to the wilderness, that doesn't mean that now the real third temple is up yet. You just in the right place at the right time. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1. Revelation 12 and verse 1, and we are getting almost done. We're almost done. Revelation 12 and verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Now this is talking about Israel, but give me verse 5. Go ahead. Let's see who came from Israel. Go ahead.
And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne.
That's where he is right now. That child was caught up unto the Father, and he's sitting on the Father's throne. That's not the throne of his glory yet. He's called up unto God and to his throne, because his throne is going to be on the earth. Go ahead, give me verse 6.
And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of God.
It was prepared, now it was time to flee. Go ahead.
That they should feed her there 1,203 score days.
Right, 1,203 score days, 3.5 years. Let's jump to verse 14. It was time to flee, so she fled. Go ahead, 14.
And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle,
right,
that she might fly into the wilderness,
right,
into her place where she is nourished for a time, and times and a half a time, from the face of the serpent.
That's right. Go ahead and jump down to verse 16, because we know Satan tried to come after her. Give me verse 16.
And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
Right, so the people that tried to stop them, they got dealt with. But give me verse 17, because he's going to turn and face these other people that aren't in the wilderness. 17.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which kept the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. 2
things. They keep the commandments of God, and they have the testimony of Jesus Christ. In other words, they believe in reading to the law and to the testimony. Because if you don't do those 2 things, you don't have no light.
Right.
But let's go now to Zechariah chapter 4. Because in other times, I could really take my time to show y'all when the Lord brings Israel back one by one after he returns. But I'm trying to get directly to what's happening after he returns. So let's go to Zechariah chapter 4, and let's see the real 3rd temple. Zechariah chapter 4, because all you have to do is ask them. If according to the Bible, we see who's supposed to build the 3rd one, then who's over there that's going to build that if they are not this person? Because this is who we read about a little bit earlier. Zechariah 4, and give me verse 6. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying,
Right.
Not by might,
right,
nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Who art thou, O great mountain?
Right. Whatever obstacle it is, who are you? Go ahead.
Before Zerubbabel thou shalt become a plain.
Right.
And he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shoutings, crying, Grace, grace unto it.
So you see Zerubbabel bringing the headstone. Grace. Grace unto the Lord. Go ahead.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house.
Right.
His hand shall also finish it.
So he laid the foundation, and he will, this is future, after the first resurrection, finish it. Go ahead.
And thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts has sent me unto you.
Right. Let's see who he's coming with, though. Verse 10.
For who has despised the day of small things?
Right.
For they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7.
With those what?
With those 7.
Oh, this ain't just regular men that's part of this building. He's coming with those 7 angels, the 7 eyes of the Lord. Go ahead.
They are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro the whole earth.
To and fro in the entire earth. Absolutely. Now we got 3 more spots. Ezekiel 43. So now we know who's going to build the 3rd temple. After we went so long without one. Ezekiel 43, we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Ezekiel 43 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Afterward, he brought me to the gate, even the gate that looketh toward the east.
So now, because there's different gates, but we're specifically focused on the east gate. Go ahead.
And behold, the glory of God of Israel came from the way of the east.
So, didn't y'all see every time that something was dedicated except for the 2nd temple or the temple of Ezra and Nehemiah, the glory of the Lord always filled that tabernacle or that temple other than that 2nd one? So now you see through the east gate, the glory of the God of Israel comes by way of the east gate because he's still coming to inhabit it. So that's why when he returns, he's going to establish his kingdom on this earth. Go ahead.
And his voice was like a noise of many waters.
Go ahead.
And the earth shined with his glory.
Hold up. The whole earth is shining with his glory, yes, because he's coming to earth in his strength at this time. Go ahead, give me verse 4. Verse 4, go ahead.
And the glory of the Lord came into the house by the way of the gate whose prospect is toward the east.
Go ahead.
So the Spirit took me up.
What do you mean the Spirit took me up? The angel took him up. Go ahead.
And brought me into the inner court. And behold, the glory of the Lord filled the house.
Right. Now he can see the glory of the Lord filled the house. Later on, you can see in other areas in Isaiah 6 where Isaiah saw the throne room with the seraphim saying, holy, holy, holy unto the Lord. But this is what's happening here. We're seeing this temple, and he came by the way of the east. What verse? That was the end of verse 5, right?
Yeah.
Give me verse 7.
And he said unto me, Son of man, the place of my throne and the place of the soles of my feet.
The place of my throne and the place of the soles of my feet. Go ahead.
Where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever.
Hold up. It will no longer be called the tabernacle of the congregation when he removed it from you. He said, I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. Go ahead.
And my holy name shall the house of Israel no more defile.
Right.
Neither they nor their kings, by their whoredom, nor by their carcasses of their kings in their high places.
So, in other words, Israel will be in proper behavior at this time when he puts the tabernacle or the temple in the middle of the children of Israel, where he will dwell with them forever. But let's go to Ezekiel 44. Ezekiel 44, next chapter. Next chapter, because he shows how when he's back, he sets everything in order. Isaiah does speak about how he will take of them priests and Levites when the Gentiles offer the children of Israel up as a gift. Trying to say, can I get some favor? Can I get some mercy? So they're going to offer you up, and he's still going to take of you for Levites. I just don't know who's of what tribe. But these are the people that did not make the first resurrection. Remember that. Ezekiel 44 and verse 4. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Then brought he me the way of the north gate.
Right.
Before the house. And I looked, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the house of the Lord, and I fell upon my face.
He still sees that glory. Give me verse 10. Verse 10. Because he's going to speak about those Levites that weren't consistent. Go ahead.
And the Levites that are gone away far from me, when Israel went astray, which went astray away from me after their idols, they shall even bear their iniquity.
Go ahead. So they sin, but what's he going to have them do? Because remember, he has purchased them to do a specific job forever. Verse 11.
Yet they shall be ministers in my sanctuary,
right,
having charge at the gates of the house,
right,
and ministering to the house.
Right.
They shall slay the burnt offering and the sacrifice for the people, and they shall stand before them to minister unto them. So they still are going to be ministers over the house of God when the Lord brings the children of Levi back as well. But give me verse 23. Verse 23. Go ahead. And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and profane. That's when you're going to get taught correctly. You will be taught the difference between the holy and the profane. Go ahead. Yes. And cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. They will then give you discernment between what is considered clean and unclean. Go ahead. And in controversy they shall stand in judgment. Right. And they shall judge it according to my judgments. According to whose judgments now? My judgments. Now they're going to judge according to my judgments. Go ahead. And they shall keep my laws and my statutes. They shall keep my laws and my statutes. Go ahead. And all mine assemblies. And all mine assemblies. Go ahead. And they shall hallow my Sabbath. And they shall hallow or make holy my Sabbaths. Because the king is back. And he's putting everything in order. Now let's go ahead to give me verse 29. And we got one more spot. Verse 29. Because he's showing who's putting things back in order and who really runs the show. Then they will be obedient and do exactly what God said. Because right now they're not being taught this. That's why people say, you're going to heaven, then who's going to fulfill all this that hasn't been fulfilled yet? How are you going to tell me? So if you say you're going to heaven and the Lord is going to rapture everyone off, you're calling God a liar. That's right. Because God said that he has given that land unto Abraham forever. The book says that he had faith in that land going that he should after receive. And Hebrews 11 says they received not the promise. So you mean to tell me he's going to fulfill all of what you think that's not in this book and not fulfill the promise that he made with Abraham? You have just called God a liar.
Give me 29.
They shall eat the meat offering,
Right.
and the sin offering,
Right.
and the trespass offering.
That's right.
And every dedicated thing in
And every
Israel.
what?
Every dedicated
Because
thing.
everything's being dedicated back to God when he returns. Every dedicated thing. Go ahead.
And Israel shall be theirs.
And Israel shall be theirs. Now, because that's the land, you're gonna be back. Last spot, Isaiah 25. Isaiah chapter 25. This is what you've been waiting for. This is the big homecoming. Clark Atlanta ain't the big homecoming. Neither is Spelman, Georgia Tech, and all of them. That's not the big homecoming. The big homecoming is when your cousins from all over the world come back home into their actual land that's allotted according to the 12 plots of land. That's why Ezekiel 36, the Lord says unto the land, you shall be settled according to your old estates. The original land boundaries, how you're going to be set up as you were before. So I don't care who's in Golan Heights, who's in Gaza, and who's in the West Bank. That don't matter, because Jerusalem going to be flattened when he come back. That's why he says the Lord got a great sacrifice in Bozrah. Who is this coming from? I do me with dyed garments. He said, I that am mighty to save. I hope you know who the Savior is. Isaiah 25 and verse 9. Verse 9, when you get to go ahead and read.
And it shall be said in that day.
What shall be said in that day? Go ahead.
Lo, this is our God. We have waited for him.
We waited for him. Go ahead.
And he will save us.
And he's the one that's going to save us. Go ahead.
This is the Lord.
Right?
We have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation.
We're going to be glad and rejoice in his salvation. But as he does the saving, give me verse 1 now. Verse 1.
O Lord, thou art my God. I will exalt thee. I will praise thy name.
Right?
For thou hast done wonderful things.
Wonderful things. Go ahead.
Thy counsels of old are faithfulness.
The counsels of old is faithfulness and truth. That Old Testament is filled with faithfulness and filled with truth. Give me verse 3.
Therefore shall the strong people glorify thee. The city of the terrible nations shall fear thee.
So the other nations still gonna fear him. But give me verse 6. Because what's gonna happen when everyone comes to that mountain? Go ahead.
And in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things.
Hold up. Unto all people of what?
A feast of fat things.
Now you're gonna have some deep doctrine that all mankind will learn when they come back to Jerusalem, when you home, because you still the teachers. Go ahead.
A feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on the lees well refined.
Well refined. Last spot, verse 7. Verse 7.
And he will destroy in this mountain.
What will he destroy in this mountain? Go ahead.
The face of the covering cast over all people.
Right.
And the veil that is spread over all nations.
Because that's the very spot where he will destroy death, in that mountain, in that location, and he will teach everyone the commandments of God, because the book says the commandments are ordained unto life. And that is today's lesson, the dedication. Yes. I thank you for your time. Excellent. Great lesson, my brother. Great lesson. Excellent.